Hello guys, so today we are looking into another JavaScript interview challenge, which is the chunk size challenge. So for this challenge, we are actually given an array and size. So we are expected to split this array into different chunks containing the size of the specified, arrays. So that basically is the problem. So example is given this array and a size of 2. We are supposed to split this array into two each, a multi-dimensional array that contains two items in an array each, like this, 1, 2, 3. So we have three items in one array, three arrays in an array, which is a two-dimensional. This is a two-dimensional. This seems to be, yeah, it's a two-dimensional array. So given this, we output this. So let's take a look at how we can solve this problem. First of all, this problem is pretty easy, but it takes a little bit of you have to think to be able to solve any challenge. You have to be able to reason. So you are given an array, and you are given size. So we are expected to split it into chunk size. So the first thing you want to do is create a new array for the new chunk. So that's a const chunk, which will be an empty array. So let me comment it out so we can easily understand. Create a new empty chunk. So there are two ways method of solving this problem. But let's go first with the more simpler, or should I say more difficult method. The longer method is using the for loop. So we are going to use the for. Remember we talked about when you are looping over an array, you use for of. But when you are looping over a object, you use for in. So don't forget that looping over an array or a string, you use for of. So we say let elements. Let's imagine you have an element of the array, element of array. So what we want to do is now we want to check this chunk if it is empty or it is filled. So if it is empty, we uh, we push into it. If it is empty, we push into the array. If it is filled, we what do we do? What do we do? Okay, this will be the not an empty chunk. Sorry, this should be create a new empty empty array that holds all chunk. So this is it now. We will now create the chunk inside this for loop. Am I right? Yes, you are right. So what we want to do now is say const. We want to check the last chunk that was pushed into the chunk. Last pushed chunk is equals to chunk position chunk dot length instead of, yeah, then minus 1. So now we want to check if last pushed chunk, if there is no last pushed chunk, that means the array is empty, or if last pushed chunk dot length, remember it is supposed to be a array itself. If dot length is equals to 1, no, it's equals to size, equals to size, we want to push the element into the chunk. We want to create a new array. So what we are checking is, we are checking if the last chunk, if it doesn't exist, which means this array is empty, that is supposed to hold the chunk is empty, or if the last pushed chunk is filled up. So if it is filled up, we want to create another array and push it into it. So we say chunk dot push to be an array containing the current element. So then we want to say else, not uh, else if this time, just else. So else what do we do? Else we add it to the last chunk, last hash pushed chunk dot push element. Now, why this will work? Why this will work is because, what we are doing here is we are assigning the last chunk that was pushed here. We are copying it, and the copy we are doing here, copying it into this, is not a deep copy. Remember, if you copy a array, it is not a deep copy, it's a shallow copy. When you use rest and spread, that is when you are performing a deep copy. So we are doing a shallow copy here, which creates a reference to the original item inside of this array. It creates a reference to the original, array inside this array. So that way, if we modify this, it will automatically update inside of chunk, because this is a reference to the original array. So that is why pushing into this chunk, last pushed chunk here, will automatically modify this array here. That is why this will work. Now, we've come to an end of this tutorial, so we can now return chunk. So let's test out our solution. Console.log chunk. So I'm going to copy let's copy this last one first of all. So with the size of 10, save it, and then let's run it. Node 2. You can see the answer is what we get here. Now let's do this. Next, I'm going to just do this, then we copy the content of this. Save it. Let's see. Can you see? So let's try the next one. Forgotten to, let me just copy everything. So let's copy this and paste it here. I need to comment this out. Oops, we have an error. Oh my god. I see an error there. Let's try this. What's going on? Console log chunk. There should be one more. Yeah. Good. You can see we get the correct answer. So this is how you can do solve this problem. Then the second way, I'm just going to paste it and then explain. Or let me just show it to you. So for the second method, the function chunk2 array size. So what we want to do is we want to first create the chunk. And then we want to let index I be equals to 0, which is the index we want to use to track. So instead of using for loop here, we'll use the while loop, which is this method is faster. And then we'll say for I less than array dot length. We want this while loop to run, and then chunk dot push. We want to push directly the item array dot. We are going to use the slice method, to slice the size from it, starting with the index. From index, remember we are starting count from 0, so automatically index is 0 for the first iteration. Then we have index plus size. So we are cutting this out of the array into the chunk size. We are copying it actually, not cutting it. And then we can now increment I by size. I is equals to, or we can say I plus equals to size. So this way we are incrementing it. And then we can just return chunk. You can see that this size is much more better, much more simpler, and easy to understand than this method. Yeah. So we can test this out. I just change this to 2, save it, and run. You can see we get the same answer as this. So basically that is the end of this tutorial. 80% of those watching my videos haven't subscribed to my channel. Help a brother. If this channel has been helping you, kindly like and subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to my channel for more tutorials, more innovative tutorials like this. So see you next time.